Troy from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Okay, and the tools you'll need for the repair of the LG gas dryer are either a drill with a Phillips head screwdriver tip or a Phillips head screwdriver. I personally will use a longer screwdriver attachment along with my 1/4 inch short ratchet so I can get into the tight places. Okay, well today what we're looking at is an LG gas dryer. I had previously been at this home. The customer's complaint or issue is that it's not drying, it's not heating up. What I did when I was here first time is I taken it apart. As you can see, it's still apart for the most part, and tested everything inside the unit, from the thermostats to the cutoffs to the igniters to the flame sensor. I tested everything inside of it and came to the conclusion we do have a bad igniter in the unit. And what we're doing today is just finishing the repair. So what I have to do now is just finish taking the unit back apart. So you need to take this front housing back off because I put it back on so I would be able to test the unit. You finish removing a few wires. There's going to be 4 screws to remove out of the unit. Once I remove those 4 screws, it does set on 4 little hanging tabs, so I'll lift it up off the tabs and pull the unit off, and then we'll be able to see the igniter from there. I removed the 4 screws, and what I'm going to do is basically pick up one side to get it free from the little hanging tabs. You can see them right here. I'll come back over and lift up the other side and remove that one as well. Once that's removed, the unit will come loose. And I do have one more wire to disconnect down here. Now I can set this aside. Ease of operating and getting inside there to take a look and change the igniter. And so I will have to remove it from the pulley and from the drive motor underneath. So to do that, I find it easiest to reach through one side and reach under from the other side and just hold it up with your body. You're going to basically pull the pulley towards your right, undo the belt, and take it off the shaft of the motor, and then the whole drum and belt will come out. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to reach underneath here to loosen up this screw to be able to take the igniter off. It's going to be a little bit tricky to get in there. You just want to take your time and be patient as you're trying to get it off. What I'm going to use is a smaller or a larger adapter for my 1/4 inch small ratchet. I'm just going to remove wires out of my way so I have a clear line of sight. Right here where my screwdriver tip is, you can see the break in this igniter. It's got a little break spot on it right there, which is going to cause it to not be able to complete its circuit to be able to run all the way through. So this is the bad part. We're going to go ahead and replace it with the new one. So to reinstall this igniter back on, it does have a bracket that sets on right here, so we're going to set it back on the bracket. The little tab that'll go and click into place once we get it in the right spot. And be careful with the igniter. Do not touch this with your hands. Do not get oil on it. Do not touch it against anything else, because it is very fragile, and if you touch it against something else, you could break it and end up having to buy another one. Alright, and I'm just going to get in the line of sight right now so I can get the screw started back into its hole, and then we'll finish putting the unit back together in reverse order again. Alright, so I got the screw started, so I'm just going to continue to tighten it down in place. Now the igniter is secured back in place. What I'm going to do is reattach the wires that I had taken off from our flame sensor. I'm going to plug our igniter back in. Now with that plugged back in, I'm going to reverse order, put the unit back together. The drum, the belt, the housing, the front cover, the control panel, everything from there. As you took it apart, you would notice which ways to put it back together, and that's going to be just reverse order all the way through. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the belt back onto the drum. I'm going to set the drum back in place. You got felt on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way you put it back in. But these, the front and the back is going to set on two rollers in the back, which you would probably notice when you're taking it apart. And then it's going to set on two rollers in the front once I get the front panel back on. So first I'm going to set it in place on the rollers, and then I'm going to reattach my belt. Now when you reach down in there to reattach your belt, just a couple things to think about is the belt's going to be smooth on one side, it's going to be ribbed on the other side. I personally like to put it on the pulley first, coming off the motor shaft, and then the belt, as it's being put on there, when you pull the tension on the belt, which if you're pulling the pulley towards your right to get tension on it, you're going to use the right side of the belt to loop back around that pulley. If you have to pull it to the left for tension, you use the left side of the belt to get the tension. And this one, to get tension, I have to take and push it to the left. So I use the left side of the belt. So I'm going to use the belt on this side of the unit, come in this side of the drum to run around the pulley and then reattach. Double check, make sure that you use your fingernail to make sure you got the rib side going onto the pulley, coming out of the motor shaft, and the smooth side out. You can visually inspect around your drum to make sure it does look appropriately right. My next suggestion, just so you're not taking it back apart again, is once you have the belt on the pulley and on the motor shaft, hold the drum up a little bit and just very slowly turn it. And I would do at least one full rotation. My reasoning for doing that is the belt, when you reattach, is not going to be aligned properly up here. And if you just put it together, plug it in, and you push start, it can make that belt jump off of the shaft, make it jump off the pulley, can fray it, damage your belt, maybe to take it back apart again just to reattach your belt. I take my flashlight, look in the side to make sure that it is on the pulley and that it is on the motor shaft still. And we are in good shape. So now we're going to reattach the front of the unit. That's the part that you see me originally take off. Again, it's got the two rollers on the bottom. These rollers right here set underneath, and then these tabs set in the tab holes on the unit. You did have a plug on this front. You make sure you plug it back in. That is your moisture sensor bars. You need to add that in because if you use any of the sensing dries on the unit, it will not work if you do not have that plugged back in. I'll reattach my 4 screws holding this panel in place. So I've got that back in place. Next thing I'm going to reinstall is I'm going to rerun the wires and get them back in their clips where they go, and then I'm going to proceed to install the front top control panel, because what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put it on. I'm going to hold the control panel up there and make sure everything looks like it's going to fit right, and I'm going to put the unit back together from there. top panel, which goes up here. It's what your control board mounts to and the top of your actual face mounts to. It does have a couple little hook tabs on it, one on each side. It does have little slots for them right here. And continue to put this panel back together. This top panel has quite a few screws to it. You're going to want to put the top two in, and then there's one right here and one right here. Those are the only ones you're going to want to put in right now, because when you reattach your front panel, they're going to screw into these bottom ones, and you don't have to take them all back out just to get them back in place. Alright, so everything's now reattached to the front. All the panels are secure. Now I have to reattach the control panel. Okay, the control panel, one nice thing about them is that everything only fits in one spot. So as you look at the plugs that I have left, they're all color coded or specifically keyed to fit where they're supposed to go. So what I'm going to do is just put it back in place and reattach all the plugs where they're supposed to be at. This unit all on the top does have some clips that when you squeeze it together, they clip on. The unit then is secured. I can reattach my plugs in the back. On the back of your control panel, there are two more screws that have to be put in to hold this in place. Just a mental note for you to remember that the screws that screw into this plastic are different than the metal screws. So when you're looking at them, make sure and make a mental note of the right screws for where they go. You have two plastic screws up here. You also down on the blower housing, or the lint screen housing down below, you have two fine thread screws that are designed for down there, and the rest of the screws are all the same. Okay, so unit is now back together. Last part to put on is the top panel, which is fairly simple to put on. It will set up in one spot. It's got little notches for where these little plastic glides stick into. Once it's in place, take your final two screws and secure them to the back of the unit. Now that we are reattached, before I attach the actual vent line, I want to plug it in, start it up, make sure I feel heat coming out. Unit's on and running, and if you start it, you need to wait a few minutes, or not a few minutes, maybe 20-30 seconds to make sure that the igniter gets a chance to turn on, get hot enough, and start the flame. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to feel the back, make sure the air coming out actually is hot. I did hear the gas valve open, so I know that it is, but if you don't know what you're listening for, this way you can go ahead and just put your hand back there, make sure that's hot air. If you got hot air, reattach your vent line, put the unit back in place, and go ahead and start drying more clothes. When we are working, we have good hot air. You can turn the unit off. You can go ahead and attach the vent in the back, and that concludes our repair for the day. Thank you for watching another quality video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.